Welcome to the Great Commission Ministries, Things You Thought You Knew, video number 2. In this video, we're going to learn the meaning of the woman and the beast in Revelations chapter 17. Now, we're going to be reading through quite a bit of scripture in this video, so bear with us. But the angel said to me, "Why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. When you see the beast that was, and is not, and yet is, here is the mind which has wisdom." Now let's pay attention to this part. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. Now, I know right now that's a little confusing, but we're going to go through this step by step in just a little bit. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. Then he said to me, "The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth." That was Revelations chapter 17, verses 7 through 15. Now, I know that was a lot of reading, but now that you have the story, we're going to go through it step by step. Now, to help us understand this story, we're going to use this image, which is the harlot holding the cup of iniquity, as you could see on your screen. And you have the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. But before we start looking at this picture, we're going to first look at this one. We're going to use this image first. Why? Is because this is the image from the book of Daniel. King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and then Daniel interpreted the dream. And a lot of people are familiar with this story and with this image, and could correctly interpret the meaning of it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use something that's called by scholars, it's called hermeneutics. We're going to use hermeneutics from something that's been well established already, which is the statue, story, and image from the book of Daniel. We're going to go through this step by step, and then we're going to take a few pieces of information from here that could help us understand all of the things from the book of Revelations chapter 17 is what we're dealing with tonight. So let's read from Daniel. "This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched it while a stone was cut out with no hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay, and broke them in pieces." Daniel 2:32. Each of these pieces, the head, the arms and the chest, the belly and the thighs, the legs and the feet, each of them have a meaning, and they were world dominant powers. Now, when we're dealing with this scripture, Daniel was talking about the Babylonian Empire being the head. So he's counting from the Babylonian Empire downward in time. So let's look at this statue, and we'll just recap what it is, because most of us already know. Babylon. Babylon is the head of gold in this image. It ran in the world as a world dominant power from 605 to 539 BC, as you can see on the screen. Now, Media Persia conquered the Babylonians. which is the chested arms of silver. They went from 539 to 331 BC. After that, Greece conquered the Persians. They are the belly and the thighs of bronze. They went from 331 to 168 BC. Rome is the legs of iron. They went from 168 BC to 476 AD. So Rome went for a very long time. Now you have the feet mixed with iron and clay. To be honest with you, that's a different study entirely in its own. It does mean it could be interpreted as democracy and war, how the two don't mix. But then you have the 10 toes, and that gets into another study. So in this video, we're going to skip the feet, because you can see you have the legs, and then the legs go into the feet, and the feet become iron and clay. So we're going to do that in a later video. For right now, we're just going to skip over that. Okay, so now that we have an understanding of what this image meant, the interpretation that was given through Daniel, the next part to the story is that there is a stone that's cut out, that's not cut out with hands, that comes and destructs this image. And that stone is Jesus. We're going to go to the scripture now, and we're going to read from that, and we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, and the silver, and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone, that's Jesus, that's the Messiah, that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Now, this is the passage that I really wanted to come back to. The reason why we went back to Daniel and we're dealing with this image before we start talking about the woman in Revelations and the beast in Revelation 17. There's a few things we need to understand from here. First of all, where it says, and the stone that struck the image. Okay, the stone was Jesus. Jesus is the cornerstone. And then it says, the stone that struck the image became a great mountain. Now, what does that mean? What that means is this. Jesus, being the cornerstone, will later come to the earth and establish his kingdom on earth, his millennial kingdom. And that's represented here by the great mountain. So the Bible could use mountains making reference to a kingdom. So when we go back to Revelations and we read about these mountains, a lot of people will interpret that as Rome, when it's really talking about kingdoms. Now, just for fun, I wanted to add this animation. That's Jesus destroying all the empires of the world. Who says we can't have some fun? So, we go back to the scripture in Revelation 17, and we're talking about mountains again. It says here that the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So, we could understand that over here it's not talking about a city with 7 mountains, as some might think it's Rome. No, he's talking about 7 kingdoms, world dominant powers of the past. That the harlot of the book of Revelations is sitting above these kingdoms. So the interpretation that we could pull from this is that the woman is the successor to the last 7 world dominating powers or kingdoms. Now let's look at another piece of the passage from Revelations chapter 17. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. Now this was written in 90 to 95 AD by John on the island of Patmos. Now this could get confusing. It says here again, there is also 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. Well, you see how we were able to take the image from Daniel's time and count from the Babylonian Empire. This we need to kind of do the same thing, but we have to figure out where we're at in time, and we'll be able to figure this out. So what we're gonna hang on to right now is the one that's underlined on your screen. It says 1 is. So when John wrote the book of Revelations in 90 to 95 AD, that would be the Roman Empire. So now it's very easy to go back to 5 and see what he's talking about, because at John's time 5 have fallen and 1 is. So that's where we get our timeline from. And it's also saying that the other has not yet come. This is another kingdom that God is revealing to John that will come later, after John's time. So with that said, it raises the question, what happened to the Roman Empire? Well, a lot happened. And in order for me to fully show you exactly what happened, again, like the last video, we're going to have to read from a transcription, which would allow me to stay completely on track and give you the information that you should have. So in the next couple of slides, we're going to be reading from a transcript, and it's going to explain what happened with the Roman Empire. In the king's dream in the book of Daniel, the statue stands on two iron legs, which predicted a two-division split in the Roman Empire. The process began in 395 AD when the Roman Empire was divided between the east, that's one leg, and the west, that's the other leg. In 476 AD, the West, Imperial Rome, fell to the Germanic tribes. The eastern leg became the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantines ruled out of Constantinople, Turkey, and built churches in Palestine commemorating many of the Christian holy sites. While the Roman Church maintained dominion in much of Western Europe through the influence of popes and cardinals of the Roman Church, the Byzantines exercised influence over much of East, including Palestine, which is the land of Israel, and Jerusalem, during a period of 1,000 years. Eventually, the eastern Byzantine branch of the legs of Rome fell into the hands of the Muslim Turks in 1435. An Islamic empire called the Ottoman Turkish Empire ruled from Palestine from 1617 to 1917. That's 400 years. After seizing control in Palestine and Jerusalem in 1517, the Turks began rebuilding the upper walls on the old city of Jerusalem. The Turkish power continued until the early 20th century. During the peak of its authority, this empire stretched it over 3 continents and contained 29 provinces. Pay attention to this part. This empire succeeded both the Roman and Byzantine legs of the Roman Empire. The Ottoman Turkish Empire is the seventh king, or kingdom, or world empire, or world dominant power, whatever you want to call it, that the book of Revelations predicts. Eventually, Palestine and Jerusalem were occupied by the British. These are the Crusades, who crushed the Turkish rule after 400 years. The Ottoman Empire was the seat of the Islamic Caliphate until 1923, when it was abandoned and replaced by the Republic of Turkey, today known as the country of Turkey, since 1923. Muslims worldwide have dreamed of the time when a holy man will arise and restore Islam to its glory day of influence, experienced during the days following Muhammad and the times of the Ottoman Empire. Now let's go back to a small piece of scripture from Revelation 17. And the other has not yet come. Now let's stop right there. This was written during the Roman Empire's rule and reign on the earth. John wrote this in 90 to 95 AD. So from his point of view, the other has not yet come. But us looking from 2014, looking back, we could tell you that after the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Turkish Empire took over the world as the next world dominant power. The Ottoman Turkish Empire was from 1517 to 1917. That's only 400 years. Compared in the face of history, that is a very short time, especially when you compare it to Rome. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. So now let's look at this piece of scripture from Revelation chapter 17, and let's take it piece by piece and try to understand it. Now this piece right here is taking us beyond John's time. It's taking us more into the future. So we could look at this from the perspective of 2014. The beast that was and is not. So we're talking about the Ottoman Empire. Is himself also the 8th. The scripture is clearly telling us here that the Ottoman Empire, an Islamic state, is also coming back to be the 8th world dominant power, and is of the 7. There's confirmation right there. The number 8th world dominant power, which the world hasn't seen yet, will be of one of the previous 7. And there's only one that is the 7th and also gonna be the 8th, which is the Ottoman Turkish Empire, and is going to perdition. Looking back from 2014, here are the 7 empires looking back from our timeline right now. If you count backwards, this is what you'll see. Number one, you have the Egyptian Empire, or the Egyptian Dynasty, or the Egyptian world dominating power. You have the Assyria Empire, which is Syria. You have the Babylonian Empire, which consisted of Iraq, modern day Iraq, and parts of Syria. You have the Media-Persia Empire. This is modern day Iran. Number 5, Greece. You have the Grecian Empire, Alexander the Great. Number 6, Rome, and also the East-West division. And then number 7, you have the Ottoman Turkish Empire. Now let's go back for a second to the scripture. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. These are the 7 heads of the beast in Revelations chapter 17. Which brings us to this scripture. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. So, what could this tell us? Holding everything in perspective, understanding that heads are kingdoms, mountains are kingdoms, empires. Okay, what could we take from this scripture? Well, if a head is a king from one of these mountains, one of these kingdoms, one of these empires, it's not necessarily set to one man. It is an entire dynasty. So what dynasty would be considered mortally wounded that has a spirit of Antichrist in it? Well, that would be the Ottoman Turkish Empire, which was the Islamic Caliphate. They are Antichrist. Their religion says God has no son. And it says to kill Christians, kill Jews, kill all of the infidels by beheading. Arish law. And they proclaim jihad, holy war, on all of the infidels. And they want to reignite the Ottoman Turkish Empire. So let's read the scripture again. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded. His head was mortally wounded. The Ottoman Turkish Empire is not here no more. It's been mortally wounded. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. An Islamic State, if you want to call it ISIS, the Ottoman Turkish Empire, the Islamic Caliphate, whatever you want to call it, the Antichrist kingdom, whatever you want to call it, will come back to the world scene through the Ottoman Turkish Empire, the Islamic State. Basically, whatever we're seeing in the news, this is what it's leading up to. So, let's look at all 8. You have 1, Egypt, 2, Syria, 3, Babylon, Media-Persia, 4, you have 5, Greece, 6, Rome, or the East-West division, 7, the Ottoman Turkish Empire, 8, the Ottoman Turkish Empire, or maybe even the Islamic State. Now, I'm going to jump away from this list for a minute. As of the time of this recording, which is August 20th, I found a report that Turkey has announced that the capital of the Islamic State will be in Turkey, in what they call Istanbul, Turkey. Istanbul, Turkey is Constantinople, Turkey, where the Byzantine Empire was headquartered from. Now also we have ISIS saying that they're going to set up the Islamic State, the Islamic Caliph, and that their leader is the Caliph. He's the president over all of it, because you have the Islamic Caliph, and then you have the Caliphate, which is the guy who runs it. ISIS is saying that they are establishing the Islamic State, the Islamic Caliphate, and that their leader is the Caliphate. And the reason why they're getting so many people joining them is because the Quran, according to their religion, is saying that if you see an army marching with black flags, go follow them, because among them is the Mahdi. Now, there's going to be a complete other study on what this is, but to give you a short synopsis of the Islamic Mahdi, basically the Antichrist in the Bible, which is the bad guy in the Bible, is the good guy in the Quran, which is the Islamic religion's Messiah, if you want to say that, who will unite all of Islam together, is called the Mahdi. And if you put these two people side by side, the Bible will clearly show you, because what they believe to be their Messiah is actually the Antichrist. But again, this is another video entirely, but I just wanted to give you that quick update. So with that said, so you have ISIS saying this, you have Turkey saying this. I know we're getting sidetracked here a little bit more, but so we're already there, so we'll talk about it. You see, there's two different types of Muslims, or people who believe in Islam. They have two different kinds of doctrinal beliefs, and the names of them are Sunnis and Shiites. They don't get along. They've been fighting, literally getting killed for hundreds of years after their enlightened one or praised one, Muhammad, died. So they've been getting killed for a very long time, and it's just going to happen again. You have ISIS, the Islamic State, saying this, that they're going to establish the caliphate. You have Turkey saying this, and also keep in mind, Turkey has the second largest army in NATO, next to America and Iran, I think it is. So let's continue to move on. So there is a list of the 7 heads, and also the future 8th empire that's going to be on the earth, which is going to be an Islamic State. So let's just go back through this chunk of scripture, and as we go through it, we'll just talk about it a little bit more. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Now, the harlot is the Roman Catholic Church, because we all know that Catholicism it is a false religion. It's a perverted religion, and you have the church, the bride of Christ, who is a church, a bride without wrinkle or blemish. And then you have the harlot. You have the harlot who is corrupted, perverted, and who takes the truth, just like in the book of Genesis. This is scheme number 1 for the devil. Take the truth and twist it, pervert it. This is the same old games from the beginning of time. So, the harlot of the book of Revelations is the Roman Catholic Church. And she's sitting on top of the beast with the 7 heads, because the harlot, the Roman Catholic Church, is the successor to all of these empires from their point of view, especially from the Islamic point of view. Because if you go down the list, who's the oldest, who's the most ancient, who has ties into these empires, is the Roman Catholic Church. The Vatican is considered its own country. So, the Islamic State that's coming, they don't like the harlot. As in the image that God revealed to John, the harlot right now, as we speak, as the time of this recording, is sitting on top of their heads, and they don't like that. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot. Now, what are these 10 horns? The 10 horns, we're going to do in another video, but just real quick, this is also going to go with in Daniel's image. We have the 2 legs, which represented the split of the Roman Empire, and then the legs transition down into clay and iron mixed into the feet, and then you have 10 toes. Well, these 10 horns and those 10 toes are the same thing, because let me share something with you. You see, God revealed bits and pieces of the end times to all of the prophets. But what he did was, with John, instead of giving him bits and pieces of the vision, he gave John the entire vision all at once. You see, we'll go to Ezekiel, we'll go to Isaiah, we'll go to Daniel, and we'll take bits and pieces, and then we'll take the book of Revelations and we'll say, well, this doesn't fit. That's not how it works. What you need to do is you need to take the book of Revelations, and take John's vision, the revelation that God gave him, and you use that as your basis. And then you take all of the visions from the prophets and you plug them in to John's revelation. And by doing that, you build a picture, and you can be able to navigate a bit better like that. So, what are the 10 horns? What are these 10 toes? Basically, it's a coalition of 10 kings. 10 kings are going to get together and form the Islamic State. Real short, that's the end result. And they're going to make her desolate and naked, and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, Islam. until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. Now, hold on right there. Right there, we just snapped back to John's timeline. We're back in 90 to 95 AD, and let's try to figure this out. And the woman whom you saw, he's talking to John, is the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. At the time, that's the Roman Empire. So what's left there as a remnant is the Roman Catholic Church. Thank yous for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it blessed you. It really blessed me in studying and putting this together, putting this presentation together. Even though I had all my notes from a long time ago, and just putting this presentation together for yous allowed me to just go over so many things again. And I was blessed through it, and I hope that it blesses yous. As of the time of this recording, Pastor Teddy White visited the Atlanta church and did a teaching on end times. I wasn't able to watch it myself because I was studying, but after I'm done with this, I'm gonna go watch it. So I suggest that you watch that too. It's available on the Gypsy Church app. If you go to the Atlanta church profile, go to live stream, and you'll be able to look it up in their archives. So more videos are coming soon. We're praying and we're working really hard to get as much content out as possible. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get an update as to when other videos are available. We also set up a website, which is the Ministries.com. We'll type that down on the bottom for you to see that. Also, we'll link to it in the description. If you could share this video on all of the social networks. We're going to be using hashtag TGCM, the Great Commission Ministries. So you can tag it like that, share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is that you use. Let's get the word out. And also, stay tuned. More's coming. There's a lot of updates. Prophecy is being fulfilled at a very, very fast pace right now. So we're going to try our best to keep you updated. Until then, we will update the website. We're going to update our Facebook page a lot. We'll put a link in the description to our Facebook page. We're going to put on our Facebook page a lot of updates of world events as they come in, as we hear about them. Also, if you want to send us an email, get in contact with us, you could do so by any of the social networks, YouTube, or you can email us. Go to our website, and our email address is listed. But the email address is michael@thegreatcommissionministries.com. God bless you.